The more you can properly educate a prospect, the more you can charge. So when we sold WP Twin, here was the difference on why we could sell it at 7 times the price of the competition. Because we changed the experience of buying pre-sale, right? So here's what happened. Before anybody ever bought WP Twin, for the most part, they got on a webinar, and I said, here are the 5 ways that you can make money cloning WordPress sites. Way number 1, I showed them. Way number 2, 3, 4, 5, I showed them. And then I said, here's the problem with cloning it. It's very hard to do, and most people don't know how to do it. That's why you can make a lot of money doing it. So one of the ways I showed them was convenience. Another way is strategically. I thought about these very strategic examples of how they could use WP Twin, and then I just educated them on them. And then I sold them the script. Here's the problem. If I do an hour-and-a-half webinar and I sell a $7 product at the end of it, is that a good idea? No, it's a horrible idea, because the attrition that happens before you get to the pitch is going to cost you more than the additional conversion you're going to make. Okay? Whether I sold that product on the end for $7 or $97, my conversion rate would have been about the same. I imagine if I would have sold it for $7, my conversion rate would have been about 20%. If I sold it for $77, my conversion rate was 15%. Those are made-up numbers. I think it was higher. But let's just say, if I would have sold it for 7, I would have squeezed out an extra 5% conversion. Is that worth it? Hell no. But that's because during the process of education or during the process of experience, you will lose some. No matter what, you will lose some, right? So that's why you can't do webinars very easily selling low-price goods. Because the time you put in for education will cost you more than the increase in conversion rate you enjoy. But if somebody doesn't buy your product because they understand how valuable it is, did you do them a favor? If somebody has a problem today and your product could solve it, but because they're not aware that your product can solve it very specifically, they don't buy it, 6 months later, they're still suffering from that product, who has won in that scenario? You haven't won. Your customer didn't win. Nobody won. Everybody's worse off, right? Now, the price you pay to educate is you will lose some. You will lose some. That's why education is not that important for low-price goods. It's not even feasible in most instances. But this is why it's critically important for high-price goods. If I was selling the price points of these software that these other guys would sell for, I could never sell them. Because I would just have to sell based on what? Features? Blah! Instead, I could show outcomes. And I say, which one of these 5 outcomes do you think you could do? Maybe all of them. Okay, go here and buy this thing. Because if I quadruple your chance of success rate, would you pay me $70 more? Would you pay me $70 more if you felt 4 times more likely to succeed? And the answer is, of course. Of course I would. But you're not going to feel that way unless I educate you first. I could literally go into a pitch right now selling a product, and you'd be way more likely to buy it, even though I just purely gave you education for an hour, 2 hours, and 4 minutes, right? Simply because I've educated you first. The better you can help somebody understand the value of your solution, the more likely they are to take advantage of your solution. Here's the problem with buying. Regardless of how much it costs, whether it costs a penny or a lot of money, there's a lot of psychological commitment towards a buying decision. So there's a lot of effort that goes into buying almost anything, whether it's a $10 product or a $1,000 product. Tell me if this rings true with you. You have maybe spent more time deciding whether or not to buy a $20 book than you have to buy a $2,000 course. Has anybody here had that experience where you spent more time deliberating a measly $20 purchase on a book than you did a $2,000 course? Yeah. Happens all the time, right? That's because nobody educated you on that book. That's a huge risk for you. It's not the price that's the risk, it's the commitment. the more you can properly educate a prospect, the more you can charge. This is why product launches were so effective. My friend Jeff Walker just totally understood that, and he really paved the way for the rest of us by doing these pre-launch videos. And education in advance of sales creates the opportunity for people to understand the value of what you sell. And I don't care what it is. People say, well, I can't do this. I sell barbecues. Bull crap. Anybody can put information in front of or alongside. You know the whole Schlitz beer campaign, right? We wash it these 4 ways and this exact temperature and this and that. You know, they did education to transform that beer from the worst selling beer to the best selling beer in practically a year, all through pre-education. Doesn't matter what it is.